Hey everybody, we're finally back at the Peake Roll Podcast. We are still sponsored by our good friends at the Print T-Shirt Shop, so everybody join their T-Shirt of the Month club. It's $10 a month. Get the new Oklahoma City basketball T-shirt mailed right to your door. Really simple, really easy. Find them on Twitter. It's at PRNTSHOP, and their website is prnt.co. That's prnt.co. Help them out, and we will greatly appreciate it. But without further ado, let us listen to the theme song.
Welcome to the
Peake Roll Podcast with Brady Trentham.
viewer discretion advised.
Oklahoma. You believe all the shit you read?
The audience is now deaf.
What's up, Thunder fans? Welcome back to the Peake Roll Podcast. This will be the first one for the 2017-18 season. We took a month off. They're just, other than little tidbits here and there about new jerseys, maybe some rumors, there wasn't that much news coming out over the last month, except for on Saturday, which I promise you we will get into about our thoughts about the addition of Carmelo Anthony. But I just thought taking a month off would be the best way to kind of go about things, kind of recharge our batteries, go over some new ideas and plans. And we'll just kind of tackle the 2017-18 season head on, and this will be the beginning of that. So from everybody that's still listening from last year, hey, guys, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. It helps me. It helps me want to sit here and record these podcasts, knowing that there are some people out there that listen to the show every episode. So again, thank you guys so much. Also to newcomers, welcome to the show. We try to make this as fun as possible. Try to get a lot of great and diverse guests on from around the NBA or people that cover the Thunder as much as possible. Today you're stuck with Chuck and me. But also for the new people that don't know me, my name is Brady Trentham, and joining me today is the head honcho here at Thunder Digest, Mr. Chuck Chaney. Chuck, say hi to everybody.
What's going on?
Chuck, are you still a little tired from Media Day yesterday?
Man, a little bit. Like, most people don't realize what kind of goes into it, and we showed kind of the behind the scenes yesterday on our social medias, but man, it got like exhausted. Like, just when I was sitting, I went to a Whataburger afterwards, and I was just editing. I'm sitting there going, man, I'm so tired. And I went to bed like 10:30 last night. I was out.
Yeah, I don't know about you. I mean, last year's Media Day was actually my first ever Thunder event that I ever got to attend. And I don't know if it was because it was my first thing ever, but last year seemed to go by much longer. I felt like yesterday went by, I felt like in the blink of an eye, and maybe it was just because it was so surreal. I mean, surreal, that word has been used about a zillion times on every Thunder podcast over the last 72 hours, every article I've read, but it rings true. It was really surreal to see Carmelo Anthony walk right in front of me in a Thunder jersey, even though the trade went down 2 days prior to Media Day, it still didn't really ring true until I saw him in a jersey, and I don't know, man. It was really odd, but exciting at the same time.
Yeah, when I went to the airport, and I will be honest, I hate going to the airport. Everybody's elbowing each other.
Does anybody really like going to the airport at all?
I think a lot of people like going. A lot of people enjoy those. And
well, like seeing the Thunder, like that's one thing. But I just the idea of going to the airport is like going to the hospital for me. It's just, does anybody like going to a hospital?
Yeah, that's true. But I don't know. Like, so I went to Melo and I see him in a Thunder hat. I'm just like, oh man, this is real. This is real. And then we saw him yesterday before he went on the podium. Him, PG, and Russ were all taking photos together. I'm sitting there going, oh, this is so cool. Like, we're getting to witness this. This is amazing. So.
Yeah, I mean, Carmelo Anthony, I mean, of course, it's everybody knows this. He's probably, his prime is in the rearview mirror at this point. He's still one of the top scorers in the league. But even though he's up there in age, he's been with the New York Knicks for the last few years. he's still a mega global superstar, and he plays basketball in Oklahoma City now, and that's just so amazing. I mean, I think it's kind of fair to say Paul George is probably an overall better player at this stage in their careers than Carmelo Anthony, but Carmelo Anthony's star is probably much bigger than Paul George's. I think that's kind of fair to say.
Oh, 100%. And I think part of that is where Melo has been. He was in Denver, which is a pretty good-sized city, and then he was in New York, it's a little bit bigger than Oklahoma City, but so he's been in these huge markets. And then Paul George went to kind of a small high school, and then he went to Fresno State, and now he's in Indiana. He's never been in a market, and now he's in Oklahoma City. So, I mean, it's the exposure. People say the exposure is not really a difference, but it absolutely is. We look at players differently because of it. So, but no, I think they're both going to enjoy it. And we learned on Saturday that Sunday that PG and Russ were instrumental in bringing Melo here. And I'm sure that Russ had a hand in talking Paul George and Sam Presti into making that trade. So.
Yeah, exactly. But before we get into that, I think we'd both be a little remiss if we didn't mention something that occurred on Media Day that a lot of people have been talking about over the last 24 hours. Shout out to Trent, everybody.
Russ, you've had multiple players come out. I'm sorry, I'm so nervous. Let me come back.
We've all been there, dudes. All right. Hey, Russ.
Wow. Poor Trent. I mean, Chuck, we've all been there, and that was kind of, I mean, Brett Dawson from the Oklahoman, Eric Horn, Fred Katz from the Norman Transcript, everybody's pretty much said the same thing, that we've all been there, like, in this business, just nerves. I mean, it's one thing to talk to high school athletes or even college athletes, and it's a completely different thing to be talking to a mega superstar like Russell Westbrook. So I completely understand the butterflies in Trent's stomach, but I mean, bless his heart. I bet he was incredibly embarrassed, but he did bounce back later on that and was able to ask Nick Collison a full question. But
good for him.
Yeah, but it was kind of funny though. About 3 or 4 hours after that occurred, I finally made it home, turned on NBA TV to see if I can catch any other Media Day coverage that I might have missed. The first thing I saw when I turned my TV on NBA TV was that exchange, and the NBA TV crew were just laughing at it. But hey, Trent, it just bounce back from it, and you're going to be more famous than Chuck and me, and we're not even that famous. So
we're not famous at all.
Yeah, it was.
We pay people to listen.
But yes, it was kind of it was probably the more memorable moment outside of, seeing Carmelo Anthony and Paul George in Thunder uniforms from the entire Media Day. So,
well, we got to look at Fred, his first game ever with covering the Thunder. He's in San Antonio covering KD and Russ, and he goes, "Hey Fred, let me ask you a question talking to KD." And they would let him live that down. They brought it up yesterday. They're like, which one's more memorable? And everybody's like, oh, absolutely the Fred one.
Yeah.
So
do you ever see, Zach Harper on Twitter post that picture, that Photoshop picture of Fred looking at himself? And he'll always tweet every once in a while. It's like the ideal Fred Katz interview is him interviewing himself.
I love Zach. But, yeah, so it happens. It's funny. He was really down on himself, and it happens, and I've been there. And we were sitting right next to Nick Gallo, and we're like, Gallo, when was the last time you were embarrassed? And he showed us an image on his phone of him making this goofy face, and his friends made all of these gifs of it, of him. Oh, my God, they ripped him hard. And I think he kind of loosened up. And then later on, I remember Trent telling me, he's like, hey, people tell me keep my head up. It's okay. But it wasn't Brady. That's why we're talking about this. It wasn't Brady. A lot of people think it was Brady.
A handful of people on Twitter yesterday thought that it was actually me because Trent immediately handed me the microphone when he got nervous, and I basically just asked the next question. So I kind of felt bad because I had to throw Trent under the bus to an extent and say, hey, that wasn't me. That was this other guy. But no, again, Trent, it happens. But he bounced back from it already, and he's in good spirits about it. So everybody's happy, and it was just another good memory that we all have here at Thunder Digest. I mean, we're slowly making our way, our footprint on Thunder Media, and it's really fun to kind of see.
You know what? We're all in a bad way. I mean, we have the hug and we have the nerves now. We have the nerves, or we have the hug, and we have the question. That's our legacy at this point.
Now, before we bury ourselves too much, we should probably move into some actual Thunder talk, because I don't want everyone to just be like...
I will say, unlike Welcome to Loud City wasn't there, Daily Thunder had a reporter, but we had a photographer, we had video, and we were writing articles. So despite our shortcomings yesterday, we were all over Media Day. So...
And it was quite the sight. I mean, it was, again, Carmelo Anthony, Paul George, Russell Westbrook, all standing next to each other.
Kyle Singler, baby.
Kyle Singler roaming the halls. But yeah, Carmelo, Paul George, and Russell Westbrook all taking photos together. The new Big Three in Oklahoma City. It's... I mean, I know there's going to be a lot of... Well, there's only one basketball. I know there's going to be a lot of that talk over the next few weeks until the season actually starts. And I'll get this out of the way, because I've said it on this show a few times over the last few months. When those Carmelo to Houston rumors were really rampant to the point where it was we would hear on a Monday or a Tuesday that we expect Carmelo Anthony to be a Rocket by the end of the week. It seemed like I heard that 3 or 4 times over the summer, and obviously never came to fruition for the Rockets. But I remember saying, I don't see how that's going to work, and that was mainly because Houston has no defensive identity whatsoever. You're basically just trying to go for James Harden scoring and efficiency, Chris Paul scoring and efficiency, and I know Chris Paul's a pesky on-ball defender, but anytime he plays the top point guards in the West, he gets cooked. And then Carmelo, we all know what Carmelo brings to the table, and it's not defense. But the reason why I think it can work really well in Oklahoma City is because the Thunder actually have a nice defensive identity. They've got Steven Adams as a defensive cornerstone in the paint. Andre Robertson is an All-NBA defender on the perimeter. Patrick Patterson off the bench is a well-respected defender. Paul George can really lock down some of the top players on the perimeter. So there's a nice balance between scoring and defense. So I think that this Big Three with Carmelo Anthony can work in ways that I don't think it would have worked in Houston, simply because the Rockets just don't care about defense, and that's a Mike D'Antoni thing as well. But I'm just kind of interested. What do you think, or what do you say to kind of the naysayers that don't think a Big Three with Carmelo, Paul, and Russell Westbrook can work?
Did they not watch the Olympics? And did they not watch the World Championships? They all play together.
Well, you know, and I will say this about Olympic Melo, or just like the Olympics. When you're playing with LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, you know, all those big names, and they're all best friends, and you're playing against, you know, like an Eastern European country, or you're playing against an African country, unless it's Spain or Argentina.
No, there's more than that nowadays.
The American team is going to be so much better than their competition. So it's really easy for some of these big stars to actively take on a role player position like Carmelo has in Olympics past.
Well, you have to, at this level, you have to take on the international level has jumped up significantly in the last 15, 20 years. Because remember, in 2004, they got third place.
Well, yes. The international basketball has greatly increased over the last 15 to 20 years. I mean, there's no question about that. But even that year, even in 2004 when they came in third place, I think everybody would probably still tell you that the Americans on paper had more talent than anybody that they played, and that's always going to be the case. So basically, it's just going to come down to focus on game day, and you know the American squad's probably always going to win, and win rather comfortably. So I don't put too much stock into thinking that, well, Carmelo was, you know, Olympic Melo took on a role, so he'll probably do the same thing with the Thunder. I mean, the competition's going to be much tougher, night in, night out.
Yeah, that's given that it's going to be tougher. But you have to look at Olympic Melo in Oklahoma City. Like, if he really wants to win that elusive ring, he's going to have to take on a role. But And Sam Presti and Billy Donovan talked about it yesterday, that Melo is a fantastic spot-up shooter. All he really is going to have to do is post up on that three and let Paul George and Russ drive and kick. That's what we're going to see so much of that, because they can't leave Steven Adams in there. And Russ is going to attack the paint like he does. He doesn't have to be a three-point shooter anymore. Russ became a three-point shooter last year off necessity. They would build that wall and force him to go over the top, so he learned how to shoot threes. Now you have a really good three-point shooter in Paul George who can sit on the perimeter, and it's just he's got more one-on-one chances. No more double teams in New York. No more main focus of putting your best defender on Melo. The best defender it's pick your poisons. Now, I can't believe this is first time since James Harden the Thunder can say, pick your poisons. We have three legitimate superstars, and if Melo wants to win it and he wants to win it with his buddies, he's going to take that role and be like, hey, I might not score. He said yesterday he doesn't want to score 30, 40 points. That's not what he wants to do. He's going to have to just say, hey, enjoy what they give him. Take what they give him. Jab step all around.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, people are just going to overanalyze and try and look into these deep psychological issues that some players may have, and just try and say, well, that's why this big three won't work, because, well, player X wants to have more shots than player Y, or, this guy is able to take on a lesser role because that's just his personality. At the end of the day, these are three of the top 15, 20 players in the world. They're going to make it work just because they're so damn good at their job. I mean, it's as simple as that. They're going to make it work. Are they going to go 82-0 or 72-10 or no? I mean, the NBA season is an absolute grind, and these guys have just started playing on the same team just today. I mean, today was the first day of training camp, and Russell Westbrook didn't even participate because of that PRP injection that he had a week ago. So, I mean, there's going to be some ups and downs in this season, just like you see every single year. I mean, the Warriors went through it last year at the beginning of the year where they took a 30-point drubbing to the Spurs on opening night. So there's going to be some games that the Thunder are going to drop that kind of leave you scratching your head. But at the end of the day, I mean, the talent's just going to take care of itself. I think this team is not only built to win well over 50 games, but I think this team is really poised to have a lot of success in the postseason, mainly because, Steven Adams is a seasoned veteran in the NBA right now, and he also has a lot of experience in the playoffs. He's been to 2 conference finals in his short career. Russell Westbrook, everybody knows his postseason history. Paul George has been to 2 Eastern Conference finals. The only guy that really doesn't have that much experience is Carmelo Anthony, and he went deep into the playoffs 1 year with Denver, and since then hasn't had a lot of luck. But I think this team is just really balanced and really poised. The only glaring issue, obviously, is no backup center other than Dakari Johnson, and the bench might be a little too, I guess, lenient on or dependent on. Hopefully, Alex Abrinas takes that next step, because if Alex Abrinas doesn't take that next step, then the bench is pretty damn thin.
Well, we have Alex. I almost said Doug McDermott, but we don't have Dougie anymore. But I'm trying to. In my head, I'm going, how are we better than Houston? I know Houston only has 2, but they dominated us down low last year with Nate. So my thing is, I'm just like I think our bench is better a little bit. I think you have to look at goodness, gosh, all these people I want to say we're not here anymore. The growth of Domantas Sabonis gone. Victor Oladipo, goodbye. But I think Terrence Ferguson could do something. I think Abrinas, he caught on towards the end of the year. And Jeremy Grant, it was weird. Like, it was funny. They're asking what his role was. He's like, he literally goes, I don't know. He goes, I'm going to have to find out my role within this team. And if we go look at the numbers last year, his decreased considerably in the playoffs and towards the end of the year. What's the acquisition of Todd Gibson? And so it's going to be like we look at our lineup and we're just like, oh man, our starters are so good, but then we're like, oh wait, our bench is a lot of question marks. So how good is Raymond Felton? He hasn't played, like he's played on like Dallas and everything, but he's old. And then
he did have some successful years with Carmelo Anthony in New York.
Yeah. No, Felton was good and in shape. He was a good player, and he went to a couple All-Star games. So we have all these players that were good or can be good. It's going to vary. I think what Billy Donovan talked about it yesterday. He goes, we're going to stagger these players, which is going to be great. We're going to see Paul George and Carmelo Anthony out there with the reserves, or we're going to see Melo playing with the reserves, or PG-13. And I think the growth of maybe Takari Johnson was going to be a big deal, which he struggles. He's slow. He's not very athletic, and but he can score in bunches because he's your old school traditional center. If you haven't watched any G League games, he just posts up on the block, back up, dips around, put those elbows down, and that's what an old school Shaq style center does. So I don't know how that's going to fit in this game, in today's game. So I don't know. Question marks. I would like to think we're better than Houston. I think we're better than San Antonio. I don't think outside of Kawhi they can't match up. So.
Well, here's my opinion how the Thunder match up with Houston. I think did you just say that? Do you think that Houston dominated the Thunder last year, or did I hear you wrong? In the playoffs.
I said in the post.
In the post, okay. See,
but I do think Houston was a horrible matchup for the Thunder last year.
Oh yeah, Houston or Golden State last year were going to be terrible matchups simply because the Thunder did not have the shooting to catch up.
And I've told people this. I think the Thunder win a title, but it's not for those two teams. I think we beat everyone else, even Cleveland. So
it certainly would have been interesting. But my opinion with Houston, how this current edition of the Thunder matches up with them is just you watch that playoff series. And yes, while Nene had his just kind of feasted down low against Steven Adams, which I guess would probably be a result of Kanter not being able to play in that series that much, and it was a lot of Steven Adams. Steven Adams got a lot of minutes in that series, and he was probably worn down, but also he did have a bad series. I mean, there's really no excuse for letting Nene look like an all-star on you when you're seen as one of the better defensive centers in the league. But You watch all those games except for Game 1. The Thunder had leads, even in that elimination game on the road, in a Game 5 where most teams, when that situation occurs, most teams that end up losing that series get just drum rolled in that Game 5. But the Thunder came back and had a lead in that fourth quarter, and it just really came down to there was nobody outside of Russell Westbrook to take the scoring load off, to just take the burden off of him. And once he kind of got tired and didn't have that much left in the tank, that's when Houston took advantage in those final 2-minute drills and just took over the game and ended up winning. So you add Paul George and Carmelo Anthony, you're basically getting Russell Westbrook, two guys that he now knows without even having played a game with them yet. He now has the respect of those guys, knowing full well that I can give this guy the rock and he can make things happen, and I can not necessarily take this possession off, but I know I don't have to go 100% every single play for 48 minutes damn near, and I think that's going to be huge for this team once they play the upper echelon of the league, and especially in the postseason, because Russell Westbrook proved that he can compete at a high level by himself with not a lot of help. Offensively speaking, that is. I mean, the Thunder had, Andre Robertson played a hell of a series against James Harden. Steven Adams had his moments, but, I mean, everyone's going to remember Nene.
Well, and that mainly happened because as much as me and you adore Kanter, he was unplayable in that series.
Yeah, Kanter's going to be unplayable against the Rockets, the Warriors, pretty much, and that's it.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's why Steven Adams was so bad, and they had to attack a tired Kiwi. But, hey, like you said, we were right there the entire time. So, and like I said, I think we played really well. I think in all those games that you talked about, those were double-digit leads, actually.
They were double-digit leads. I think once they got into the fourth quarter, basically, remember when Russell sits out the final 2 minutes of the third quarter and the first 3 to 4 in the fourth, the Rockets would kind of cut it down to a 9-point lead, and it would just kind of snowball from there. But, that's not going to be the Thunder this year. I mean, when Russell goes off the floor, Carmelo Anthony or Paul George will be on the floor with the second unit at any given time, so there's not going to be that large of a drop-off on a consistent basis. Of course, there's going to be a night where they, like last year when they played Phoenix and just looked like absolute trash. I mean, that's going to happen.
I just remember Devin Booker, this is my house. They're 18-54.
Yes.
But no, I think a lot of that. And now I'm thinking about the rotation. Raymond Felton, he doesn't have to do a lot. Last year, our backup point guard was Samaje Christian, and that's no offense to Samaje if you're listening. I don't think you were ready. As much as I rooted for you, I don't think you're ready for this limelight. But Raymond knows how it is to play with Carmelo. He knows how to play with other superstars. He's got career low. He only averages 2 turnovers for his career out of his 11 years, which is great, I think. And so he'd go in, don't make mistakes, just get the ball to the open players. Here's what I'm thinking, like a bench rotation, first time out. You have Felton, Abrines, Melo at the 3, Patrick Patterson at the 4, and Dakari underneath. That's still a lot of offense. That's not something we've ever had on the bench since Harden. And now all of a sudden we have this okay starting lineup for a third of the league that's on our bench. So
yeah, I mean, Billy Donovan's going to have his hands full. I mean, it's not a disadvantage, but he's going to have his hands full trying to figure out ways to get the most out of any lineup that he throws out on the floor because, I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches. I mean, there's so much scoring on this starting 5 with just those 3 guys. And, like, I really don't envy Billy Donovan's job right now because there's only so much you can do, but there are endless possibilities at the same time. I mean, he kind of squashed a lot of things today during training camp availability, where he said, "No, Carmelo's going to start at the power forward position for us," and I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, that that takes away a lot of, I guess, podcast talk about Melo coming off the bench, even though he'd probably laugh that off, just like he did at media day."
I was like, he didn't even let that get out there. He goes, "Oh, me?" No,
yeah, kudos to Eric Horn for asking that question.
Eric's got cojones. He asked the hard questions. The very first question that was asked of Russell Westbrook goes, "Russ, will you sign the contract before October 16th?" And he has no problem asking those questions, and that's why I love Eric. Eric started in Ardmore at a paper and worked his way up to where he's at now, and I'll be honest, I don't know how much longer Eric or Brett's going to be here. They're both really great at the Oklahoman. The Oklahoman has turned over all these great basketball beat writers that are going to blow up and go off to other cities.
Yeah, we are incredibly lucky in Oklahoma City, or if you follow the Thunder, we're incredibly lucky with the beat writers that we have. I mean, Brett's been really helpful with me and with the website. He's been really helpful with me and encouraging. Same thing with Eric. They're really, really. I mean, if you're trying to get into the business, guys, just read their stuff, follow along with their work.
Is there a bad person at home? And when I first started Thunder Digest and I first started being able to go to practice, it was Barry Trammell who come up to me and shook my hand and was like, "Hey, if you need anything, here's my card." And Jenny Carlson has complimented the website, so everyone's awesome. Darnell has been a longtime fan and follower of the website, and so freaking A, everybody at the Oklahoma is amazing, and we're not trying to. And they're our competition, and we're sitting here saying how great they are, but
yeah,
I'm not Eric for asking the question though. That was great.
Yeah, I mean, kind of into the segue into our next point, it's just basically how Russell answered his question. The thing that everybody's...
He didn't.
Yeah, the thing that everybody's kind of connected to what Russell said was, this is where I want to be. I love this organization. I love the city. He didn't really keep anything open-ended. I didn't think... It wasn't like how Kevin Durant said... He would say those things, but then he'd say, "I'm going to let the season play out," and then think about it again.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, Russell was a little bit more, I just became a father back in June, so I've had to take care of that. And, I'm sure there's a large part of this that has to deal with he wants to see how this team plays out, because there is that, while we kind of just squashed the whole, there's only one basketball, so it's not going to work. We just squashed that, but there's a possibility that this could blow up in everybody's face. I mean, what was it? What was it a few years ago with Sports Illustrated saying that Lakers big 3 of Dwight Howard, Steve Nash, and Kobe Bryant was going to be the next big thing, and how'd that turn out? There is that possibility, but
that's just SI. Everybody else knew that was garbage from the beginning. Everybody knew Steve Nash was banged up. Everybody knew Dwight Howard was a basket case, and we know Kobe's an egomaniac. That was destined to fail, and Sports Illustrated is an idiot. But here's my thing.
Except for Lee Jenkins.
Lee Jenkins said that?
No, I can't remember who actually wrote that, but Lee Jenkins is a badass.
I don't think Lee was there when that was written. But anyway, Russ says, this is where I want to be. I don't really think I think he's telling the truth. And the way, I don't think he wants to let this play out. I really think he wants to sign a smaller deal. Because if he waits one more year, he jumps into that 10-year bracket. And so he can make more money. And so that's why I think he's willing to forego that 5-year contract, that DPE contract, and sign a 2 or 3 year deal like everyone else, just so they can make more money.
Yeah, and I really, as a person, I really don't blame him. I mean, he's been with the organization for his entire career, and the thought of playing, I mean, this season plus another 5 to 6 years with the same team in the same city, especially after you just had your first child, I mean, that's a lot of commitment for something that you don't, like, we don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow in our own lives. And to think 5-6 years down the road, you're going to be in the same place. I mean, that is a little, I don't want to say anything negative, but it is something that you might want to think about for a long time, and not just simply think, oh, you know, I love playing for the same team. I want to be that loyal guy. And we just got Carmelo Anthony and Paul George. So yeah, I'll sign away my, you know, next 5-6 years of my life. But basically what I'm saying is I agree with what you're saying. I think that there is, I think maybe if that's the holdout, maybe that's what it would be. I really don't think that there's going to be this, oh, this is everybody trying to play, get a season, you know, under their belt with each other, and then they're all going to go to the Lakers. Like I don't see something like that happening.
I would freak out. I won't lie. I'd have like flashbacks to like the Thunder losing that 15-point lead against Dallas and just sit there and just shaking. That's how I would be, honestly.
Now, I've talked about this with a bunch of people over the last few months. It's still out there. Like I'm not living under a rock. I do not think LeBron James is going to be with the Cavaliers after this season, and I think that's even more prevalent now that Dwayne Wade signed a 1-year deal with them.
Is that official?
Yeah, it's official. He signed a 1-year, $2 something million or something million dollar deal.
Obviously, he didn't watch Melo's message last night.
Yeah, somebody didn't turn on Thunder Media Day for him, which somebody dropped the ball in that case. But
if someone was tweeting like they were supposed to, Trent, you would have saw it.
No, but again, I don't think LeBron's going to stay in Cleveland, but that doesn't mean that I think LeBron is going straight to, the Lakers. I think that is, I think that's kind of silly. I mean, LeBron has been in the East his entire career, and for the most part has had a cakewalk to at least the Eastern Conference Finals every single season. And when he gets there, I mean, he's facing Toronto. I mean, they're a nice team, but they're not necessarily a championship contender realistically. Indiana with those Paul George teams were about as close as you could get, but I don't remember a lot of people overwhelmingly picking the Pacers to beat the Heat. You have to kind of go back to those big three Boston Celtics teams with Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen, and even then they were well on the downslope of their primes in their careers. So it's the thought of LeBron going to the Western Conference, especially the Lakers, who are still in rebuild mode. And you'd have to play against, you know, let's just assume that if it's just Paul George, like everybody assumes Paul George is going to the Lakers. If it's just Paul George and LeBron James, okay, you still got to play Houston. You still got to play San Antonio. You still got to deal with Russell Westbrook, Golden State. And then you get down to the middle tier of the West, which is Minnesota, the Clippers, even the bad teams like the Pelicans or the Kings. All these teams have great players, great players. I don't think LeBron James wants to deal with that at this point in his career. I mean, all he has to do now is basically just kind of coast, get the 1 or the 2 seed, and then beat Boston.
Yeah, I mean, you make great points there, and who knows? Maybe he wants another challenge. I mean, that's something he may want too. Maybe he's like, I need to solidify my legacy even more, even though he's going to go down top 3 player of all time, I think. And you got a player, he's like, hey, I need to go to the West and win. And who knows? Maybe that's what he needs to do. Some players like Wilt Chamberlain and Bill Russell won all these titles with single team. So did Jordan. But Jordan even was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go to another team because I'm not done. The Bulls don't want me." Or I don't remember I'll be honest. I don't remember the whole shindig behind that. But no, I don't know. I think LeBron's gone as too. But here's my thing. I think if the Thunder make the Western Conference Finals, every single person comes back to this team. Especially, let's say it goes 6-7 games. Holy hell, we're going to see something like they're going to make another move. They're going to bring in somebody else. We're going to see a huge-ass tax bill, and they're going to try to beat the Warriors. This is our mountain to climb, and got to go through the Warriors. Or maybe, who knows, maybe the Warriors make a stupid trade and trade Klay Thompson or something before in the middle of the season. But we didn't talk about that. I think Klay's gone here shortly, too. Wow. So, but now I don't know why he would come to the West, but that's the only reason why I could think about it. It's just something else to conquer. Why not? I've beaten the East, I've beaten the West, and let me go win the West.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's what a lot of people are trying to say. That's their argument to support him going to the Lakers. Is, you know, LeBron James has already one of the greater legacies in NBA history. But if he were to put on the purple and gold, Laker jersey, that would just add to the mystique of LeBron James. I mean, there's no question about that. And then, yes, if he were to go out west and prove that he can win this conference, that would totally derail any of the detractors that have just kind of said for LeBron James's career, yeah, he's just had to feast upon a average at best Eastern Conference. So yeah, I mean that's completely true, but I mean I don't know, man. That's still NBA fantasy land at this point. I mean, I think it is true. If the Thunder make the Western Conference Finals, I would be shocked, absolutely shocked, if the big three in Oklahoma City don't return, because that's something you cannot take for granted, to be able to compete, especially in today's NBA where it's Golden State and then a large drop off to the second best team in the league. I think in that case it's imperative that the Thunder win a lot of games in the regular season and get the 2 seed, so they don't have to run into Golden State in the second round. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's going to be fun. There's going to be a level of urgency in this regular season that I think that Thunder fans really haven't seen because of Golden State. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna shut off social media the first time the Thunder lose a game they shouldn't. They'll lose to the Knicks on opening night watch. It's going to be the Enes Kanter revenge game, and the Lance Thomas. I'll tell you right now, I wasn't aware how much Enes loved New York until I watched his press conference yesterday. The dude was ecstatic to go to the Knicks. So. Yeah, but good for him. I mean, I'm happy. He's not said a bad word about Oklahoma City. He even said all these great things, even though he got traded. But I'll be honest, I think he might be a little salty. I mean, of course, I wouldn't blame him. I mean, Enes made it perfectly clear that he has no hard feelings to the fans or even to the organization now. You know, when he laces up the shoes and the lights come on, opening night and it's Knicks versus Thunder, Kanter's going to have a little bit of a fire under his ass. I mean, that's how he plays. He's an emotional player, and I don't blame him. But Thunder got to give him a tribute video. Give him a tribute video. God, they are going to recognize him just like they did with Serge Ibaka and Scott Brooks. Everybody give it up for Enes Kanter, and the Peake's going to just rock. They're really going to let Kanter have it in a really good way. I mean, yeah, as long as he doesn't say anything until then, but I don't think he will. Oh yeah, if he has like a Utah Mountains pregame interview about how Oklahoma's boring, that's where you might see a little bit of, hey, we loved you, man. Yeah, I think that they're gonna be like, and former Thunder player Enes Kanter, they're gonna be like Enes Kanter. It's just gonna be like back then. But no, I mean, I'll tell you right now, we saw some of the discontent on social media and between writers already. Melo's comments being taken out of context, just off one single quote, and man, I don't think I'm ready for that anymore. We got away from that for a year, which is great. Like KD's comments being taken out of context, which apparently weren't out of context, and now we got Melo. We were there. He said, I'm not here to be a rebounder. I'm here to do what I do best. And people blew up. They're like, oh no, here goes the season. But they don't realize. Somebody said before, the question was, he goes, Presti said you're such a great rebounder, blah, 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 blah. And he kind of took that as like, no. I'm more than just a rebounder. And I think social media took a run with that. So it's going to be. Yeah, people, it's just simple as this. People don't really listen to like interviews. They just look for sound bites or little tweets about a quote taken out of context. Thanks, Matt Moore. All Presti was saying was, for as great of a scorer as Carmelo is, and everybody knows that, he's an underrated passer and an underrated rebounder, and that's a fact. I mean, especially on the offensive boards, Carmelo Anthony can be a beast on the offensive glass. And, I mean, I'm working on a piece about how Carmelo can help this team outside of scoring, and I've just watched, 2 or 3 videos on YouTube of Carmelo Anthony passing the ball in the triangle offense. And it's really impressive. It's something that you don't think of when you think of Carmelo Anthony. That's not the first thing that pops in your head. And if you dig into it, it's really interesting, and it gives you a lot, of ideas of how Melo can incorporate himself in this big three and in this team to make this team so dangerous against any opponent. I mean, I get it. Everyone wants to try and jump on this train of, Melo's going to say, I'm going to shoot it 30, 40 times, endless jab steps. I get it. It's fun. It's funny.
It is funny. I won't lie. Because in my head, I'm going, jab step, shoot.
With a Russ snarl, like, dude, give me the ball.
but people are also ignoring the fact that Melo goes, hey, I didn't come here to be the star. And that's true. Here's the thing. If he wanted to be the star, they would have made that point. He goes, hey, I'm not in Oklahoma City because I'm the best player. No, he goes, I want to go to Oklahoma.
If Melo wanted to be the star, he'd still be a Knick.
Right. Well, not anymore. He's not even the star there. It's KP. Kristaps Porzingis. But and that's the thing. I hope Melo buys in. I mean, he's here at least a year. He can opt out in June. That's fine. Opt out. If you don't want to be here, opt out. But here's the thing. We got him for at least a year, 2 at the most, because Lau's not letting him come back to Oklahoma City. That's a fact. But for 2 years, let's enjoy it, Melo. Buy in. Listen to our podcast. Buy our shirts. But also buy into the Thunder. But
I think Melo over his career, especially with the New York media and the New York Knicks fan base, which can be unforgiving at times. And Melo also kind of played into it, and he said as much in the 2 media availabilities he's had with the Thunder. He said today that it's finally great to be able to just focus on basketball, which I kind of took as, I don't have to listen to all this tabloid BS, all this stuff that has nothing to do with basketball, all these rumors about me. I mean, he said something to Barry Trammell where Barry Trammell was basically saying, the skinny on you is that you'd never want to play in a place like Oklahoma City, and Melo cut him off and said, well, that's because people don't know me.
Yeah.
And I think that says all you need to say, or all you need to know about Carmelo Anthony. I think he's a guy, especially at this point in his career, that is willing to buy into a team concept and willing to do the things necessary to make, a lot of wins happen and a championship possibly happen. I mean, it would just have to be a month of bad basketball for this thing to slowly unravel, I think. What was it, that road trip last year when Victor Oladipo got hurt during that Boston game, and then the Thunder went to Portland and then Utah, and they got trashed in both games, and then they went to Charlotte, and Russ accidentally threw a basketball straight at a ref's head, and they got destroyed in that game.
Get out of the way, Blue.
Yeah, if there was about a week or 2 of that kind of basketball, I think you could see a lot of I'm frustrated, sound bites in the locker room after games. I think that's when that would come. But I think there's too much talent in this team that there won't be a long stretch of bad basketball.
Oh, yeah. And here's the thing. There's going to be some bad basketball. These guys it's a shorter preseason. It starts in less than a month. And so, which is crazy. Usually we're like a month and a half out. But now, here's the thing. We're going to see some bad basketball. We're going to see some really fantastic basketball. We may even beat the Warriors this year. I'm telling you right now, we beat the Warriors. They can do whatever they want. We're done. National champions right here. But no, I'm just kidding. But here's the thing. But if they can just buy in, say, hey, because Melo's done everything. He except for an MVP. He's been an all-star, 10-time all-star. He's won Olympic gold medals. He's won a national championship. He won multiple high school national championships. He's won state championships in high school. He's missing a ring. He has never been to the final. His best bet is right now of his career. Who knows? Maybe he'll go to Golden State next year and it'll change. But right now, his best bet is in Oklahoma City. This is the best team he's ever been on. And I hope he sees it. Maybe the fact that, at practice, we've been there. And I'm going to ask you, just to reiterate what I'm thinking, nobody really asks him personal questions at practice. It's not like, unless it's a major news. But we talk about things they like. That's why people call us soft, the Oklahoma State media. We pander to the players. Unless it's an absolutely big question like Kendrick Perkins when he got arrested. Hey, guess what? The first question that was asked at media day. Hey, KP, can you address the rumors about you arresting and domestic violence and blah, 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 blah. But other than that, we have to ask those questions. That's journalists. But for the most part, we ask basketball questions. We don't dive into their personal life. We don't care if he's going through a divorce. We're not going to ask about the divorce because that's none of our business.
Yeah, I mean, New York is just on a completely different level of existence, so just a different plane of existence than Oklahoma City. It's so much bigger. It's the most popular city in America. And by default, it's probably the most popular city on earth. There's so many more people. There's so many more things to do that the media wants to dive in. So in that vein, the media probably wants to dive into things that have nothing to do with basketball. That probably won't happen here unless Carmelo Anthony gets in a lot of trouble off the court, but I don't really anticipate that happening. So yeah, we're going to see a Carmelo Anthony that is just absolutely focused. But I will say, and you kind of brought it up, and I just now thought of it, it is a shorter preseason, and the season is starting in just a month. Out of the top 4 teams in the West, this is probably the biggest disadvantage that the Thunder have right now, is out of the top 4 teams in the West, the Thunder are the only team that have to work on chemistry issues. I mean, the Warriors are set, the Spurs are set, they have a proven system. The Rockets, all they're doing is adding Chris Paul, and there's going to be some chemistry issues there, but there's just one guy they're adding to a pretty stacked offensive team. So I think there's going to be an easier transition for Chris Paul than there is going to be for Carmelo Anthony, Paul George, and Russell Westbrook, just simply because these are 3 guys that have had such high usage rates in their careers, and now they're all on the same team. There's going to be some things to work on. There's going to be some things that need to be improved, but out of the top 4 teams in the West, the Thunder have the most work to do, and now they have less time than seasons past.
Right, and I think get in here, focus on basketball. Just stick to the point. And I think I'm not going to go as far as say they're going to win the title, but this is going to be Oklahoma City's best shot since 2014, 2015, right? The year before the Warriors blew up. Before the year the Warriors lost to the Cavs.
Yeah, I mean...
The year the Warriors beat the Cavs first time.
Yeah, you don't necessarily want to put unfair expectations on a team, but when you add, players like Carmelo Anthony and Paul George to a team with Russell Westbrook on it, that kind of comes with the territory. And because this franchise has been, on deep playoff runs in its 10-year history and been to a finals already and have had 2 MVP players in their history, there are high expectations just by wearing a Thunder uniform. So, I mean, you're right. It's really hard to say championship or bust because there's the Warriors are still, they still exist.
Western Conference semifinals or bust.
I think that's probably the fairest thing that you could say.
Actually, I say Western Conference Finals. If we're gonna be realistic, I think this team, to meet expectations, it's got to be the conference finals.
Yeah, if you want to meet expectations, it has to be the conference finals. The bare minimum would be a second round appearance. But if you want any hope of Melo, Russ, and Paul George continuing to play basketball in Oklahoma City, it has to be a Western Conference at the least, Western Conference Finals at the least. So. It's going to be exciting, Chuck. I'm incredibly excited. I mean, we're still barely into training camp. There's a lot of stuff to do. I think we're going to get to talk to Paul George tomorrow at training camp, so I'm looking forward to that.
Maybe he'll show emotion. He hasn't shown emotion yet.
Hey, if he shows emotion on the court, that's all that really matters.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Right.
But I don't know. Both times he's just so stoic, and he reminds me of KP a little bit because I made this thing is like all the emotions of Kendrick Perkins, and they were all the same face. And that's kind of how I feel about Paul George right now. I tell you what, so Brady, give me a win total, that expectation. We haven't seen this team at all. Like I said, maybe there's massive issues that we're unaware of, and we won't really see until a little bit in the preseason. But give me an expectation or a win expectation total.
Well, if you consider that the Thunder won 47 games last year with mainly just Russell Westbrook running the show, You also have to consider the Thunder. They won a handful of games that they probably shouldn't have won, and they also lost a handful of games that they should have won easily. So that kind of balances itself out. I don't foresee a 60 wins, although, I mean, I've seen some people proclaim that this is a 60-win team. I think there's still a lot of chemistry and lineup issues that Billy Donovan and the team have to figure out, and there's going to be some ups and downs as a result of that. But I think 55-plus wins, I think that's a realistic goal for this team, much like the last team with Kevin Durant, or they went 55-27 and got the third seed. I think that's an attainable goal for this team, is 55-plus wins. That puts you around the second or the third seed in most years. And who knows, maybe they catch lightning in a bottle one month and just have a string of 11 out of 15 or 11 out of 13 games that they win and really jump up in the win column, and they can find themselves in a near 60-win season. In that case, they'd be the second or maybe even the first seed. Who knows? But I think the second or the third seed around 55-plus wins is probably realistic in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. 55 wins. I think 55 wins might get you the second seed, especially because the West. We haven't even talked about how tough the West is. There's 3 teams in the NBA that had 20-point scores, that have 3 20-point scores from last year. Golden State, Oklahoma City, and Minnesota. That's huge. So we're going to see, I think right now it's Golden State, Oklahoma City, Houston, Minnesota, and then San Antonio. And I don't think it's an insult to San Antonio to put them fourth. It's just I think Minnesota's that good myself. But I'm going to say we're going to win 55 games. Yep. I'm going to say 55-60. And I think maybe I'm going to even go say we're going to make the Western Conference Finals at least.
Hey, it's more basketball for us to cover. I'm all for it.
Man, I don't know. I love basketball. Like, I'm watching the women's NBA Finals right now, the WNBA Finals, because, oh man, Maya Moore is incredible. So, I don't know. I don't know about you. I watch basketball 12 months a year. It's my favorite sport. So, but yeah, what else we need to talk about, Brady? Man, I think we covered everything.
Yeah, I was just going to say we should probably head into our question or answering of the questions segment of the podcast.
We got a bunch.
Yeah, we got a metric shit ton of questions, and we really appreciate it. So we'll try and get to as many as we can. We are at the 50-minute mark roughly, so I don't want to go too long. But let's see.
Rapid fire.
Yeah, let's see. We'll start with the first one, and this one is from @Holadipo, and he
get a different name.
Yeah, he or she asks, because I don't know. It's his avatar. His or her avatar is just a hoodie mellow picture. So he or she asks, how many assists does Russ average this year? Chuck, take it away.
He had 10 with KD. Why can't he have 10 with Paul George and Melo?
Yeah, I think this is a year where you could see Russell's assists really balloon. I think the rebounds are going to go down because, Steven Adams is going to be there. Like we said earlier in the show, Carmelo Anthony is an underrated rebounder, and even Paul George is a very talented rebounder. So I think the need for Russell Westbrook to basically go 100% in the paint every single game, every single minute he's on the floor, it's not going to be as prevalent this year because there's just basically more help. So I think his rebounds will go down, but I could really foresee his assists simply going up because there's just more help. So I think maybe 12 assists, 11 or 12 assists a game. I think that's certainly attainable, and I think it's something that Russell himself, he's kind of said over the last few weeks that he's really wanting to work on as the point guard to facilitate and help assimilate these new guys to the team. And I think that's something we're going to see Russell Westbrook really try and attain this year, is just much more assists.
Yep, I agree.
All right, question number 2. Thank you again, Holadipo. Question number 2 comes from Sheila Hankins @Sheila.
That person's replying to something later. Because yesterday somebody goes, "Tell me something I don't know," and I was like, "I'm so excited about Melo." And so I go, that's War Acres was the almost capital of Oklahoma, and so it's become a discussion actually.
Well, there you go. We are all about discussions here. Okay, let me see if I can find the next one. Okay.
The next Dylan.
Yeah, okay. So from Dylan Claxton, who is at Dylan Solienzy. Sorry, Dylan Solienzy. Sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. He asked, how many blocks will Adams get a game? Adams isn't really big on. He's not a Serge Ibaka.
Does he even jump?
No, he's just mainly an all on ball defender. Just basically uses his physicality to bully people around. I mean,
so one. I'll say one.
Yeah,
he averaged one for his career.
One. I mean, he does have some games where he'll get 2 or 3 blocks in a single game. He has that ability. He's incredibly athletic, but that's just not. Whereas Serge Ibaka was all about blocks, he's probably at the same time he's not going to D up Dwight, prime Dwight Howard on the block. The physicality just simply wasn't there. Well, Steven Adams has that physicality, so maybe one.
He bodies people into bad shots.
Exactly.
That's what he does, or in turnovers.
Yes.
And he averages 1 for his game. Steven Adams is going to have more witty comments. How many witty comments per game? Or which one's going to be more? Blocks or the witty comments?
Well, did you get a chance to see the video I posted today from practice?
Absolutely. So
it was awesome. Steven is always great for a soundbite. He's incredibly fun to talk to. Him and Fred Katz had a really funny exchange that I think Fred was able to post on Twitter. So if you didn't get a chance to see that, check it out. It's about where Steven thinks it's socially acceptable to punch teammates. It was really funny. I'm
going to have to check that out.
I'm pretty salty. I turned my phone off because I thought we were done, and then he just kind of kept talking to Fred, and I just kept thinking, damn it, I'm not recording this. But it was Fred's question, so he deserves it.
So you're going to take the witty comments over the blocks?
Well, I mean, we cover basketball, so I'd rather see the blocks, but we get to also talk to them, so I'll take a little bit of both.
Fair. All right, next.
Okay, let's see. Jay Stunna, who is at Jay Stunna. Would you rather have Alex off the bench for shooting guard, or would you prefer Wade? Would we have preferred Wade? I think it's pretty cut and dry. I mean, Wade is a better player at this point than Alex Abrinas, even though Wade is a really, I think at times he's a really old 35. I mean, the guy has taken a huge beating over his career. He used to be one of my favorite players before the Thunder were even rumored to come to Oklahoma City. I was a huge Heat fan. So I remember, young Dwayne Wade just throwing his body all over the court. He's taken a beating. So he, even though he's rather old for, an NBA player, he's still a lot better than Alex Abrinas at this point. Alex Abrinas certainly has a higher ceiling. Not more than Dwayne Wade's career, but
at this point,
but exactly at this point in their careers, I think Wade would have been a better fit with the Thunder off the bench. I just never thought that Wade would have accepted a role off the bench. So,
that's why he supposedly went to Cleveland. I think he's guaranteed. He was promised to start.
Yeah, and him and LeBron James are. I mean, I don't know if anybody knows this because it's kind of a well kept secret. Him and LeBron James are pretty good friends. So,
yeah, they've been on a boat together.
Yeah.
Oh, we skipped one. OKC Tyler.
Okay, but real quick. But having said all that, I'm completely happy with Alex Abrinas. I think he showed a lot towards the end of the year, and I don't really see him as only a 3-point shooter. I think he has some sneaky athleticism about him that he's able to basically. I mean, he played point guard at the end of the Rocket series for a few possessions. I mean, Billy Donovan said, "Here, take the ball up the court." So Billy Donovan at least has confidence in him that he can do things outside of stand in the corner, catch the ball, and shoot. So I'm happy with Alex Abrinas.
Si, senor.
Go ahead and read the next one, Chuck.
OKC Tyler, who is the leading for the OKC Blue this season? I think we see Josh Hustis. It's going to be Daniel Hamilton and players like that. So that's not going to change very much.
Yeah, and I'm even excited to see Terrence Ferguson because I don't really see Ferguson getting a lot of burn with.
Nah, he'll be there too.
Now, if this team was still just Russell Westbrook and Victor Oladipo, we might have seen a lot of Terrence Ferguson early on in the season, and then he would have gone off to the Blue. But
or vice versa,
yeah, because this team is so stacked and actually has championship aspirations, I think you're going to see a lot of Terrence Ferguson with the Blue. So I'm excited to see how he stacks up against players just like Hustis and Dakari Johnson, even though I know he's still now with the Thunder. But, guys that have some NBA talent about them. I'm really excited to see how – because the scouting report on Ferguson is that he's an athletic freak. He can jump out of the gym.
Yeah.
So just simply YouTube him and you'll agree. So I'm really excited to see how he can kind of stack up with some NBA talent. So I'm excited for that at least.
You can tell the Thunder's expectations on where he was in the media availability yesterday. He was second to last. So, and there was 3 people asking questions. So, but yeah, he'll be there too. So the big trio in the Blue Jay and the G League. So next
question. Let's see. Let's do 3 more. Okay.
All right, we've already answered 58 for Westbrook. We got your question. We answered that one earlier.
Oh, yeah.
Freddie and I both said 55.
Yeah. So thank you, 58 for Westbrook. Ooh, Aaron. What's up, Aaron Albertson?
The sports editor for the Edmond Sun.
What an honor.
Right? Top golf with that guy this weekend.
Aaron asked, would you rather watch basketball in a gym that's cold with no jacket or a September football game with long sleeves on?
September with long sleeves, because you can push the sleeves up.
You can push the sleeves up, or you can leave them down and not get a wicked sunburn, because I don't know about you guys. I've got some pretty pale Anglican skin, so anytime I'm out in the sun for more than 5 minutes, I'll get a burn. So, yeah, I'll do the September football game with long sleeves on.
Yep. Next.
Brady Ross, at Brady_Ross33. What potential lineup are you most excited to see play this year? I mean, personally, it's the lineup that everybody's kind of talked about. It's the small ball lineup with Patrick Patterson at the 5. Just the floor spacing is going to be incredible on offense, and the defensive versatility if everybody plays to their capability. And I'm specifically talking about Russell Westbrook. If everybody plays to their capability, I think that's a lineup that can just seriously do some damage to Golden State, and that's what everybody's basically gunning for, is what lineup can combat the death lineup for the Warriors. And I think that's one that basically a lot of people are going to have to actually reckon with and recognize that has the talent to do so.
Yep, I'll go with what I said earlier. That bench lineup, just so I can have a difference here. That bench lineup, let's go Felton, Abrinas, Melo, Patterson, and Dakari. I think that could be a really lethal bench lineup.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Are there any more questions? I'm scrolling through. I don't see any.
Oh, yeah. Goulet Mohammed, at Goulet Mohammed. What starter plays with the second unit? I think we're going to see all 3 play with second unit. I think, and Donovan mentioned it yesterday, we're going to see players get multiple rests per quarter or per half. Like before, they would get 1 rest, but now we're going to see them get 2. So,
yeah, I mean, it's going to depend on that week, that month. I mean, again, it's 82 games. So,
who they're playing.
Yeah, not everything's going to be stagnant the same way from game 1 to 82 into the playoffs. That's not the way it works, and that's certainly not the way Billy Donovan coaches. I mean, he's only been the coach of the Thunder for
30 years,
going on 3 years, and the one consistent thing about him is that he loves to toy with lineups during the year because he wants to basically understand who he can count on when basketball actually matters in the postseason. So that's going to be exciting to see, just every single different combination of guys we see out there. But yeah, I mean, I've said it maybe 10 times this show. It's going to be exciting, man.
Oh yeah, it's like Billy Donovan went home on Saturday. Is like talking to his wife, "Oh dear, I got Carmelo, PG, and Russ. Oh, woe is me."
Yeah, I'm probably not going to be home for dinner tonight, is probably what he said.
Yeah. I don't know. I saw him picking up milk yesterday. Yeah, I wish I could afford gas station milk prices. Next question. I'm not going to say this name because I am anti-parody accounts, but we're going to answer his question. If you want to read it, go to our mentions if you want to follow him, but I'm not giving a parody account their name. Brady wants to, he can. But anyway, asking important questions here. The account says, Toastal Strudel or Pop-Tarts?
Pop-Tarts.
Neither. They're both trash. Like, Pop-Tarts, like, I guess they're okay because you can eat them cold, but toast a strudel, there's always a frozen part in the middle, and that's got to be the worst way to start your morning.
Yeah, it's just too much sugar. It's just it's too sweet. But I mean, that is, of course, that is my opinion. So hopefully my mentions aren't I'm a terrible human being because I don't like toaster strudels. I tried to like them when I was a kid. I never got into them. Pop-Tarts, like you said, you can eat them cold. They're great. They're great for when you're on the run.
I will say, I take that back. I want to go Pop-Tarts. I like s'mores Pop-Tarts, especially when you nuke them in the microwave for 10 seconds. Okay, we're going Pop-Tarts. I changed my mind. They're both not trash.
Answering the tough questions. That is what we do here on the Peake Roll Podcast.
Next question.
Go ahead.
Mave_50_pitch. Maverick Pitchford says, do you think there's going to be a problem spreading the ball around with so many ball-dominant players?
I mean, we've kind of said it. I don't think so, just simply because these three players are three of the top players in the world, and because they're so damn good, they will figure out a way to make it work. This isn't the big three with the Lakers with Dwight, Steve Nash, and Kobe Bryant. This isn't the quote-unquote super team last year that Derrick Rose claimed he was on with Melo and Joakim Noah. This isn't those examples. These are three top players in the world. They're going to make it happen.
One word answer to this, no. That's it.
Boom. I think we're good. I think we'll probably just leave it there then.
Yeah, 'cause we've already answered. Well, we got one more. It just came in about 20 minutes ago.
Okay.
What seed?
What the hell?
Kimberly Hoops. I think she's kind of a newer follower. Anyway, what seed are the Thunder going to be? I'm going to say they're going to be the 2.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are saying the 4 seed because simply everybody has a lot of respect for San Antonio, and rightfully so. A lot of people are still really high on Houston. I don't know. I could see this team really getting the 2 seed because there's going to be such a mission to get Golden State. Mm-hmm. And because I think the Thunder have taken that next step over the Rockets simply because this team has a defensive identity. Although Houston is a team that's just built for the regular season. Just shoot. So they're, they might win more games than the Thunder. I just don't know if that's going to actually mean that they're a better team overall. But if you had to put a true serum in me, I'd say the 3 seed, because my thing with San Antonio is when they play Oklahoma City, who is Kawhi Leonard going to guard?
Yeah, it's a pick your poisons, man.
Well, I mean, just really think about it. I mean, who would Kawhi Leonard guard on this team? Like, you'd think Carmelo, because Carmelo has the body and the physicality to go down low, but so does Paul George. But Paul George has the athleticism to really do a lot of damage on the perimeter, and then you've got Russell Westbrook to deal with as well. I don't know what San Antonio can really throw at the Thunder, like, say for a night where the Thunder just have a bad game and the Spurs are just Spursing, which has happened in the past. It happened last year.
Yep, we will see though. Man, most of those were really great questions.
Yeah.
Some we answered beforehand. I mean, they were all great. Some we answered before. Some I changed my mind on. So
yeah, everybody, thank you so much for asking, tweeting us questions. Really appreciate it. Makes the show more fun. So just keep up with us on Twitter, on social media. We'll let you guys know when we're about to record, and we'll ask for more questions. And we'll take basketball questions, we'll take non-basketball questions, we'll take off the wall questions. We like to have fun. So yeah, everybody, thank you so much. But Chuck, we've gone for about a little bit over an hour now, so I know you've got a lot of things to do.
I'm still working on Media Day articles and stuff like that. So
yeah, I still have a few things I'm working on myself, so I'll let you get out of here.
Thanks, Brady.
Of course, Chuck. Everybody, thank you so much once again for listening to the Peake and Roll podcast. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review on iTunes. It really helps us out, helps the show out. But for that, this is the beginning of the 2017-18 season, and I couldn't be more excited. I am just, I can't put it into words how excited I am to cover Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony, and Paul George. I'm really thankful and really excited to be able to do that. So I'm looking forward to interacting with all of you this season, covering the Thunder. But we'll just leave it at that. So for Mr. Chuck Chaney, this is Brady Trantham. Thunder up, everybody.
I got a feeling.
out that chicken salad out of chicken something else.
We are the Stash Bros, and we approve this
podcast.